This video could potentially be the most important bowling video that you ever see. Now, was that a little clickbaity? A little bit, but what this video is going to do is showcase ball motion to you. This is an area in bowling that we spend very little time on in bowling YouTube land. We don't look at ball motion that often or try to explain it. So what I did is I went out to the lanes, I grabbed a really high camera angle so you guys can see a top-down view of the lane to see what 6 different bowling balls from 6 different bowling ball categories actually react like on a house shot. The goal of this video is really to help your bowling eyes see why these bowling ball shapes matter, which ones are going to be best for your lanes, which ones are going to be best for your game, and which ones you can really avoid. In the video, I'm going to be showcasing the Motiv Jackal Onyx in our strong and smooth category. We're going to use our 6 categorical scales from the channel. Make sure to go check out some past videos if you don't know what those are. Strong and sharp category, we're showing the Brunswick Energize. Medium smooth category, we're showing the Storm Phase 2. Medium sharp category, we're showing the new Rockstar Amped. Weak and smooth category, we're showing the Max Thrill Hybrid. And then the weak and sharp category, we're showing a High Road 40. Like I said, this video is going to be on a typical 44-foot house shot. This house shot had a little bit of play on it, but not a whole lot. It's 44 feet, 30 mils, 11-to-1 ratio. Very typical for a house shot. The length and the volume sounds high, but these lanes hook a ton. That is why we put out this different pattern on it, because this actually is a pretty decent house shot now. So you're going to be able to see that this ball gets a little further down lane than it might at your center. And then finally, for me, I'm going to be the one throwing the ball. I'm a balanced bowler, leaning a little more on the speed dominant side. I have about 375 to 400 revs. I have a little more axis rotation than a lot of people. I'm probably in the midway, about 40-ish degrees or so at times. You're going to see in this video a little more because I'm playing so far left. But what you're going to see is me throwing the ball. If you want to see me throw a lot more bowling balls, check out our short form or check out some other videos where we do some reviews. But with the intro out of the way, let's start showing some bowling clips. So right now, what you're seeing is the Motiv Jackal Onyx. We're showing a handful of shots where we're playing about 18 at the arrows, trying to get it to about 5, 6 down lane. But my goal of this is to show a couple of shots with each ball, but kind of differentiating where I throw it. I don't want to show just the same shot 5 times. So here we start with the Jackal Onyx. What we're doing here, this is at about 2000 grit, about a 3.5-inch pin to PAP. And you can see this ball is slow down lane. This ball wants to hook early. You're going to see one where I miss in and I trip a 4-pin where it hooks super, super early. Now, this shows that the ball is still decent on this house shot. This Jackal Onyx is a better house shot ball than you'd expect. It's not a stereotypical ASIM solid. If I would have thrown something like a Track Criterion here or something, you would have seen the ball hit friction, lock up, and roll forward, or that Infinity Quest, for example. But this Jackal Onyx actually rounds off of it, so you can see it's actually pretty decent on this shot. Because of my ball roll, I can help make it finish down lane. This kind of ball motion is some of the more optimal ball motion because your ball isn't going skid snappy off the end of the pattern. It's not going super sideways. When you're tripping 4 pins, that's a very good sign. That means your ball is doing the right thing. When you're leaving bone 8 pins like I did, that shows that your ball is doing the right thing. So if I had to pick something for this pattern, this would probably be high up on that list. Is it a little too strong for this? Probably. But I think this kind of ball motion is really optimal for when you want a lot of carry. Next up, we're moving to the strong and sharp category with the Brunswick Energize. This thing is very hot off the press, and it's a little smoother than a lot of other strong, sharp balls that you might know and love. So like if you put a Deviate Hater Pearl here, that's going to get further down lane and be a lot more angular. Where this Energize isn't really that as much. It gets a couple feet further than the Jackal Onyx. It's a little bit sharper off the spot, as you can tell. It's going through the pins a little bit harder, but it's still very usable. This is a ball on this pattern that I actually shot 740 with a couple days later after filming. So this is another really good ball motion on this pattern. You can see that it is getting that little bit further, but a little bit sharper. When you're playing as deep as I am on this shot, that's where the Energize is really going to excel. This one's also going to excel on these longer oil patterns. If you took off 4 feet from this oil pattern, this Jackal Onyx and this Energize are not going to look good. They're going to look really, really bad. I know a lot of you bowl on like 40-ish foot house shots. That's where these balls might not be as ideal for you as they look to me in this video. Next up, we are going to move on to the Storm Phase 2. This is a brand new Phase 2. It's only been thrown about 10 or 20 games so far, trying to help in that cover stock because this Phase 2 acts like a strong and smooth ball out of box. But here, you're going to see this ball roll super, super forward. This showcases a difference between asymmetrical bowling balls and symmetrical bowling balls. That Jackal Onyx wanted to be quicker down lane than this Phase 2. So in our categorical scale, there are times where a strong and smooth ball is actually quicker than a medium and smooth ball. This is a perfect showcase of that because this Phase 2, it sees the early friction, it wants to hook, and then it just is so slow down lane. You're going to see that I miss the pocket and leave some kind of weird split or weird buckets. You're going to see that I trip out the 5-7 one time. It doesn't look very great on this pattern because the ball wants to hook so early. If you have ball reaction like this, that means your ball is just too dull. It's hooking way too soon and you need to go to something a little bit shinier, a little bit weaker. That's why this Phase 2 is not really my favorite house shot ball because this would be good at a tournament when there's a lot more volume on the pattern. That's where this Phase 2 can shine. However, on this house shot, even though there's 30 mils, the lane beds themselves hook so much that this ball just hooks way too early and it puts way too big of a hole in the pattern. So this is not optimal ball reaction for this house shot. Moving on to the medium and sharp category with the Rockstar Amped, this ball looks awesome. You're going to see this thing gets through that extra spot that the Phase 2 wanted to hook in and is sharp, but not too sharp down lane. Has a very similar down lane reaction to the Energize, a little bit quicker than the Energize, but it gets further down lane than the Phase 2. It gets a little bit further down lane than the Energize as well. So you're going to see here with our categorical scale that a medium smooth ball will hook earlier than a lot of strong and sharp bowling balls. So right here, if we had to rank our bowling balls with how early they're hooking, you're going to go Jackal Onyx and Phase 2 very close next to each other. Then you're going to go Energize, and then you're going to go Rockstar Amped. This up to down view of this actually helps showcase where this ball is actually hooking. That Rockstar Amped gets pretty far down lane, but again, it's not too angular, and that's what you really want to see. You don't want your ball being a full hockey stick down lane. That is not ideal ball reaction. That is not how you're going to get these really high scores. That's how you're going to leave those gross 3-4 splits. You're going to leave those gross 2-8-10 splits when your ball is just too angular because it's not going to read the lane in the right part. Next up is the weak and smooth category. This one's a little bit surprising with the Max Thrill Hybrid. This ball is a weak and smooth bowling ball. I brought it back up to its surface at about 3,000. That's what it comes at out of box. And this thing still hooks kind of early. This hooks earlier than the Rockstar. It almost seems like it's hooking earlier than the Energize, but it's hooking later than a Phase 2. So that's what we're really seeing here. And this one is still smooth down lane. It's not coming off the spot super hard. The Max Thrill Hybrid, because it's a hybrid, wants to come off the spot a little bit quicker than a lot of the other bowling balls in this category, but it's still not insanely quick. You're going to see a 10 pin at the very end or me barely getting the 10 out in one of the first shots, because this ball does see that early friction. It gets through it a little bit, but it doesn't wheel off the spot like a Rockstar Amped would, or it doesn't have this core strength that an Energize would. This one is a smaller core, so you're going to see that lower flaring really come into play on this one. This ball's really cover heavy. It wants to hook because of that cover, not really because of that core. Max Thrill Hybrid is a really good house shot ball. It's stronger than you think it is. If you want a true weak and smooth bowling ball, I could have thrown like my Tropical Surge Solid, or you can go out there and find some really weak and smooth bowling balls that work here as well. Like an IQ Tour would have hooked a little bit later than this thing, probably been a little bit sharper, but otherwise a fairly similar down lane reaction. And finally, the weakest bowling ball that I'm showing here in the weak and sharp category is that High Road 40. That High Road 40, tiny core, medium-ish cover stock strength, but you're going to see that it still strikes. Everything here is striking. That kind of helps show that on a house shot, you can strike with a lot of stuff. I struck with 6 very different kinds of bowling balls from almost the same exact part of the lane. This High Road 40, though, when I miss out, it does not recover. The Energize and the Rockstar and the Jackal, when they got outside, they actually hooked. The Phase 2, it actually hooked too much when I got it outside of the friction. The High Road just didn't have the guts to make it when it saw that friction outside. It just kind of laid there and just didn't really whip off of it like some other bowling balls would. That just shows how important the core strength is, that there is a happy medium on a shot like this for where the core is. If I throw the High Road 40, I'm probably going to miss the head pin a little bit more because it is so weak, and I'm not going to be able to carry as much because the core is that weak. Where the Rockstar Amped is going to give me that little extra motion down lane, little extra room for error as well. The Energize here, I think, gives me the most room for error for any of the bowling balls that I'm throwing because of that core cover strength where it's longer, but it is also strong enough to get through a lot of that oil, get through the puddle that's in the middle of the lane. So what does that help showcase to you as a bowler? Well, this helps showcase 6 different categories of bowling balls, what they do on this typical house shot, where their reactions are going to look more similar than they would on a sport shot. That's the one unfortunate piece. If we did this on a flat pattern, you're going to see crazy differences between them all. On a house shot, though, that's what most of you bowl on. This helps showcase what those subtle differences are in the ball reaction. So I'd recommend looking back. If you want to mute me a second time, you absolutely can. But I'd watch those ball motions to see, what is this ball really doing? What one looks best to me? What one do I want to mimic on my house shot in my league? Well, if I want to mimic that, I should get a bowling ball in that category. If you really like that phase 2 ball reaction on this shot, I'd recommend something in the medium and smooth category. You really like the energized ball reaction, I'd recommend something in that strong and sharp category. It doesn't have to be these balls specifically. They were just the play dummies for this video. So I'd really recommend trying to find what ball motion you like best, because as I showed, you can strike with all of them. So there is no right or wrong answer sometimes. Sometimes it's just what fits your eye and your game best. Otherwise, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really hope this video was helpful. If it was, if it wasn't, please let me know down below in the comments. Ball motion is one of the toughest things to talk about and show in the world of bowling. That's why you see very few videos on it. So hopefully this helps showcase some different ball motions, some different things that a ball can do from a really good angle to help determine what you need for your next tournament or your next league set. Otherwise, if you do enjoy these educational videos, make sure to drop a follow, make sure to drop a subscription. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one.